Assalamualaikum, I am Bilawal and the topic which I am going to discuss is basics of set theory. In this video I will be going over set notations and some basic types of set which we use. So let's start. A set is a well-defined collection of unique objects called the members or elements of a set. There are two ways to define a set. The first way is that listing down individual elements, separating them by comma, and starting and ending with a curly bracket. The second way is that you can use the property of that set and list down all its elements. So first let's go through the first type. For example, I want to define set B which has elements from 1 till 4. So I write curly bracket, start with a curly bracket 1, 2, 3, 4 and end with a curly bracket. Now if you notice, each element is separated by a comma and the number of elements in set B are 4. So if I want to define the number of elements in set B are 4, I can write n bracket B, meaning that number of elements in set B are 4. This type of notation is easy to use when the number of elements to be listed down are small. But for example, if you want to list down the elements of a set, let's say an odd number between 0 to 100, now this has a large number of elements to be defined. So a better way is to use the notation of type 2, and we can define it as set A is an x is such that x is an odd number and x is between 0 and 100. So in this scenario, all the elements which are odd and between 0 and 100 can easily be defined by using the property that defines the element of the set. This type of notation is particularly useful when there are a large number of elements to be defined. Now, the example we did for set B which had 4 elements, if you want to denote that 1 is an element of B, you can write as 1. This is a symbol for element of set B. Another 2 is an element of set B. So you can define X is an element of set A and it can be written in this form. Secondly, you can see that there is no element 5 in set B. So if you want to define that 5 is not an element of set B, you can use this symbol. 5 is not an element of set B. Some basic sets which are very commonly we use are set of natural numbers, set of integers, set of natural numbers, set of real numbers and set of complex numbers. And in maths we have already defined the symbols for those sets, with capital N being the denotation of set of natural numbers, Z for integers, Q for rational numbers, R for real numbers and C for set of complex numbers. So if a capital N is used, it means that this is a set of natural numbers. Now let's move on to the types of set. The first set which we are going to talk about is universal set. What is a universal set? A universal set is a set which contains all the elements of other given sets, is known as universal set. And the simple use for universal set is either U or curly E. In order to understand, let's go through an example. Now, if we define set A to has 3 elements 1, 2, 3, while set B has 2, 3, 4 and C has elements 3, 5, 7. Now the definition of universal set is that it contains all the elements which individual sets have. So it should have all the numbers ranging from 1 till 7. So we define U as an set or a superset. Other name is a superset, which has elements from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. It had all the elements which are in small sets such as A, B, and C. Now let's move on to the subset. What is a subset? A subset is if every element of a set A is also an element of set B, we say that A is a subset of B. And the symbol for use of subset is this thing. This means A is a subset of B. For example, I take A to be 1, 2, 3, while B is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you notice, A has all the elements which are in set B. If every element of set A is also an element of set B. So this is the scenario over here. And if you notice, there is no such element in A which is out of the bounds of set B. When this type of scenario happens, we conclude that A is a subset of B. Let's do another example. For example, A has an element 1 till 6, while B has an element from 1 till 4. So we can conclude B is a subset of A, and this is a symbol for subset. So the condition is that each element of the subset should be present in its bigger set or superset. Now there are two types of terminologies used in terms of sets: proper subset and improper subsets. So we will just go briefly to learn the difference between proper subset and improper. The very basic difference is that the symbol used for proper subset is only U type or horseshoe type symbol, while for improper subset we use the symbol horseshoe and a line beneath it. So this is the basic difference between the notation. The second difference is what is a proper subset is when the elements, for example, we have a set A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a set B 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you notice that all the elements of set B are present in set A and the elements of set B are less than the elements of set A. So when the elements of a set are less than its superset, we say that it's a proper subset. While what is an improper subset is, for example, A has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and I take another set, define it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if you notice, C has all the elements of A. There is not a single element missing. So the number of elements are same and it also has all the elements. When this type of scenario occurs, we say that C is a improper subset of A, while B is a proper subset of A. So again repeating, the difference between proper is that the elements are less than the bigger set, while in improper subset the elements are equal to the bigger set. But generally we do not go in such detail of proper set and improper set, and we just use this symbol for both proper and improper. Now another thing which is important related to subset is that, for example, I have a set defined as A is equal to 1, 2. Now how many types of subsets can be present for A which have two elements? So the possible values are 1, 2, both 1 and 2. So there are 3 sets. And then the important thing to remember is that every set has a subset which is known as null set and is denoted by this symbol. What is a null set? We will go and study about that later on. But just remember at this time that null set, every set has a subset null set. So now if you see, for two elements, there are total number of subsets 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the formula for the possible number of subset of any set is 2 power n. N is the number of elements in that specific set. So like A has 2 elements, so 2 power 2 is 4. So the total possible of number of subsets of A is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Achha. Let's move on to the power set. What is a power set? The collection of all subsets of set A is called the power set of A. It is denoted by PA, meaning power set of A, and in power set of A, every element is a set A. Like for example, there is a set P and Q. Now the possible subsets are null set, which I told you before, only P, only Q, or P or Q. When you list down all the possible subset of a set and denote it in a form of set, we call it as power set. And how many subsets would be, does a power set can be denoted by 2m. So the number of power sets or the number of sets present in the power set can be denoted by 2m, where again 2 power m or is similar to 2 power n. The formula we just did in the previous slide. So when there are 2 elements, the possible are 2 power 2, 4. So there are 4 possible subsets which can be listed down as individual elements in power sets. What are equal sets? If two sets have the same number of elements and the elements are also same. For example, A has elements 1, 3, 4, 5 sets, while B also have the same 5 elements, but the order is different. Always remember, in set notation, the order does not matter. So if the number of elements are the same for both and the values of the elements are same, we conclude that those are equal sets. What is empty set? As discussed before, empty set or null set is a set which does not have any element. For example, set A and curly bracket. You can see there is no elements in the curly bracket. So we say it as a null set or a void set. Another simple notation is this sign. This sign can also be used to present null set. So every set has a null set. It is predefined. Every set has a null set. And null set is that set which has no elements. The number of elements in a null set has 0. A singleton set is a set which only has exactly one element. Let's say A has only one element. The number of elements in A is only 1. Let's say B has 2. So the number of elements in B is 2. Whatever is the value, but the element is only 1. Or the number of elements in a set is 1 is known as singleton set. Moving on to finite set. Finite sets are those sets which have an ending number of elements. Like if you can see, this ends at 97. So this is defined as finite sets. While infinite sets are those sets where the number of elements do not end. It keeps on going. For example, 1 till infinity. Now the infinity means that the number do not end. So those elements or those sets which have infinite number of elements are known as infinite sets, while those which have finite number of sets are known as finite number of elements are known as finite sets. And lastly, disjoint sets. Disjoint sets are those sets in which there is no common element. For example, set A has 1 and 2, while set B has element 3 and 4. Now you can see that A and B do not have anything in common. So we say A and B are disjoint sets. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Thank you.